Aita or Agta and Dumagat are collective terms for several indigenous people who live in various parts of the island of Luzon in the Philippines. They are also known as the Philippine Negrito. The indigenous people pulled the Igorots from the Spanish terms Igolots, or the people of the mountains of the Cordillera or region of the North Luzon in the northern Philippines. Historically defended their ancestral land from foreign invaders as they see the land as life where their culture and identity are molded. Mangyan is the generic name for the 8 indigenous groups found on the island of Mindoro, southwest of the Philippine island of Luzon. The Philippines, each with its own the tribal name, language, and customs, the total population may be around 280,001, but official statistics are difficult to determine under the condition of remote areas, reclusive tribal groups, and some having little if any outside world contact. Palawan, the largest province in the Philippines, is home to several indigenous ethno-linguistic groups, namely the Cagayanan, Tagbanwa, Palawano, Taawat-Bato, Mulbog, and Batak tribes. They live in remote village in the mountains and coastal areas.
Another indigenous people of the Philippines is the tribe of Panay. The Suludnon are culturally indigenous Visayan tribe who lived in the mountainous region of Capiz Lambunaw and Antique Iloilo in Panay in the Visayan island of the Philippines. They are also referred to as Panay Bukidnon, Panayanon, or Tumandong. Along with the Halawudnon of Lambunaw, Kalinog Iloilo, and Iraynon Bukidnon of Antique, they are one of only 2 culturally indigenous groups of Visayan language speakers in the Western Visayas. Additionally, they belong to the larger Visayan ethno-linguistic group, the largest ethno-linguistic group in the Philippines. Next is Lumad. Since 1986, a vast number of indigenous people of the Mindanao Island group in the southern Philippines have been referred to collectively as Lumad. About half of the indigenous communities in the Philippines are Lumad, who are concentrated in Mindanao, Dabagobo, Banwaon, Blaan, Bukidnon, Tibabawon, Higawnon, Mamanwa, Mandaya, Munggawangan, Manobo, Mansaka, Matisalog, Subanen, Tagakaulo, Talandig, Tibuli, at Tiduray and Obo are the 18 main ethno-linguistic group of the Lumad people. The Ati people, a Negrito ethnic group that landed on the Panay Island, were the first people to live in the Philippine archipelago. They are distinguished by their dark, rounded eyes and black complexion. They are thought to have crossed an isthmus that is now a portion of Palawan to go by foot from Borneo to the Philippines about 20,000 to 30,000 years ago. Around 1,500 individuals speak the indigenous Ati language, also known as Binisaya nga Ati, which is spoken by the Atis. Some of the people in northern Panay speak a dialect called Sugudnin, and Atis is also able to speak Kinaraya and Hiligaynon. Lastly, Bajau. Indigenous people of the Bajau tribe are reliant on the sea for their culture and way of life. The Bajau are dispersed around coastal regions of Tawi-Tawi, Sulu, Basilan, and some coastal parts of Zamboanga City. They are also well known as the Sea Gypsies of the Sulu and Sibili Seas. Southeast Asia is home for numerous sea tribes. The Bajau people, who number 400,000 or thereabouts, are the largest sea tribes. They have been native inhabitants of the Philippines since at least 500 AD.
Indigenous knowledge system and are taught and practiced by indigenous people. The first one is prediction of weather. They use this knowledge derived from observations of atmospheric and astronomic conditions, indicator plants, and behavior of animals like insects, birds, and mammals, which signal the onset of the rainy season. A long parallel band of feathery clouds and moonward ring are also important clues to predict the weather. Next one is herbal medicine. These medicinal plants are used by people, especially among the Kalinga people, as alternative and first aid medicines like bayabas, lagundi, and chaang gubat. Next one is preserving food. In salting, panag-etag and panag-asin are the two identified indigenous food preservation techniques, while panagtapa and panagkiing are the techniques employed in drying. Meanwhile, panagsuob is being practiced under smoking and panagbubod is done in fermentation.
In agriculture, indigenous knowledge plays a significant role as it encompasses the expertise and methods that indigenous people have developed over centuries for sustainable farming and natural resources management. This knowledge system often includes unique insights into local economies, crop varieties, cultivation techniques, and resource conservation. Indigenous agriculture practices are often adapted to specific environment and are closely tied to the cultural and spiritual beliefs of this community. Recognition and respecting indigenous knowledge and agriculture is important for promoting sustainable and environmentally friendly farming practices, while also respecting the cultural heritage of indigenous communities. This system can be highly sustainable and efficient because they have evolved over generations to meet the needs of the community, while minimizing environmental impacts, recognitions, and preserving indigenous knowledge related to irrigations and other agricultural practices. It is also important for sustainable resources management and can offer valuable insights for broader efforts in agricultural water management.
Indigenous science uses a science process skills guided by the community values and histories, which compose of the traditional knowledge. According to Griffin MCAP 2004 and CBC 2004, the indigenous science is part of the indigenous knowledge system practices by the different group of people and early civilization. According to Lacarino 2003, he collaborated this idea by explaining how science is part of the culture and how science done largely depends on the cultural practices of the people. According to Johnston 2007, the indigenous groups also developed the desirable values, namely motivating attitude. It is a practice by motivating people to influence their thoughts and behavior. Cooperating attitude. Cooperating attitude it influences person's desires and willingness to cooperate, a emotional response.
Alam mo ba ng indigenous beliefs in the Philippines is nagre-revolve around animism, ancestor veneration, and the mga worship of nature spirits na tinatawag nilang anitos. Ito yung mga practices na nag-influence sa mga Hinduism, Islam, and Christianity over time. Despite ng modernization and colonialism, some communities still uphold their traditional beliefs. Preservation and revitalization efforts are ongoing. Alam mo ba na isa sa desirable values ng indigenous beliefs ay ang practical attitudes, kung saan it makes sensible decisions and choices. At pang-apat naman ay ang reflective attitudes, kung saan nandito yung willingness mo na may isip mo yung mga bagay na hindi mo naiintindihan. So, noong 1962, ayon kay Kuhn na ang development stages ng most sciences are characterized by continual competition between a number ng distinct views of nature. So, each partially derived from and all roughly compatible sa mga dictates ng scientific observation and method. Alam mo ba na ang United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization or UNESCO is nare-recognize ang indigenous science na isa sa historical and valuable contribution sa science and technology. In conclusion, ang indigenous science is important sa pagdevelop ng science and technology sa Pilipinas. Kagaya na lang ng ancient civilizations, indigenous science gave birth sa development ng science and technology sa field as a discipline. So, indigenous science helped the people in understanding the natural environment and coping with everyday life.